When do you give up on your business idea? When is it time to know this is not working? The money's not coming in, the customers aren't coming. When do you give up? Should you give up? Or should you just keep pushing because, these things take time and just keep chipping away at it? Or is it time to quit? The extraordinary belongs to those that create it. Rebelling against business plans and debt, rebelling against what society expects of us to build cool businesses, make money, have fun, and do good. Let's create something extraordinary together. Welcome to the Rebel Entrepreneur. So welcome back to the Rebel Entrepreneur podcast. I have back with me Toby of Anya and Daddy. Welcome back, Toby.
Hello there.
It's good to have you here. I'm looking forward to this update a lot. At the end of the last episode, your homework was to go away and message 50 people directly and ask them to buy, because you've been doing a mini experiment, but it kind of drifted along a little bit and we weren't getting the sales. You felt like you were just shouting into the abyss.
Yes,
the abyss of the world. Yes. There was a lot of analogies
There was lots of analogies. If there's one thing I'm good at, I should sell those. Yeah, I did. And I got very fired up after our last conversation and I got all kinds of excited. And as soon as we hung up, I thought, yes, Alan Donegan says, yes, I can do this. And I DM'd so many people on Instagram that night. I got banned from Instagram.
No way.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And they said, oh, you're spamming people. Don't do that anymore. You've got a 24-hour call-off period. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. So I waited 24 hours and then I did the same thing again. And then I got banned. No. And then I had to go cap in hand and say, please let me back onto your platform. I promise not to do it again. I'm just trying to run a business. Anyway, so they've let me back on. And I did. I emailed a lot of people. I DM'd a lot of people and said, buy this product. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I gave them, as we talked about, I gave them a sort of incentive. I gave them a 10% discount. Well, the outcome is that no one bought anything.
Okay.
Now, when you emailed me a week or so ago in prep for this and said, what was the outcome? And I sent you what I'd been given. And you said, no, that's feedback, which we'll talk about in a minute. The outcome is that no one bought anything. The feedback was that 80% of people ignored the message.
Okay.
10% of people liked the message. They put a nice little heart emoji, which is no good to man the beast. And then
it doesn't pay the bills.
It doesn't pay the bills. And then the last 10%, is that right? Have I done the maths right? The last 10% basically sent a message saying, look, we really like your hoodies, but we've got no money.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the result. So, and I followed up with all those people who didn't buy. You said, email them again and ask them why they didn't buy. So, and I wasn't quite, why haven't you bought mine? I didn't put it quite like that. Why? But again, they're the same results. 80% of people ignored it, blah, blah, blah. And the people who did respond said, look, we've just got no money. We've got no cash. And I understand that. That's fair enough. We're all penny pinching, aren't we?
Well, it's an interesting time. So it's June 22nd, 2022, which in the UK, we're at the cost of living crisis with 10% inflation and yada, yada, yada. There's definitely some stuff going on. However, that doesn't account for a complete no sales.
Absolutely. Now, if you've got something to interject there in terms of how to progress with that, great. If not, something else happened.
Tell me.
I will. Gather around, children. Is that I've been doing these in trying to create content for Instagram. I've been doing these kind of little graffiti videos, which is part of our branding. We're into street culture and skateboarding and graffiti. And just to prove that we know what we're doing, I've been doing these only kind of 10, 15-second little videos. And I've been posting them on Instagram and people have been enjoying them. And then Instagram changed the algorithm again and all of a sudden views plummeted. And I was like, right, I've had enough of Instagram. They've banned me twice and they're not showing my videos. So I moved over to TikTok. And whilst moving over to TikTok, which I'm way too old for, but in moving over to TikTok, I thought to myself, I'm going to do a tutorial, a graffiti tutorial, because it might be something fun that dads like to do with their daughters, much like I do. And that's our thing. 55,000 views later.
Whoa.
And my following went from 23 to 2,500 in a week.
Wow.
And I thought, maybe I found my audience. And then TikTok emailed me and said, we're rolling out this new merchant seller thing, which is a shop on the platform, so people don't have to leave the platform, which we know the algorithm doesn't like. Would you like to be a part of it? So I said, yes, please.
Why not? Let's give
I'll
it a
do
go.
that. And so there's an online kind of Zoom call, you do a seminar and all that. And they said, oh yeah, you got the crux of it is you'll like this. The crux of it is you have to go live to sell your products. It sounds very QVC, sounds very shopping channel. You have to go live. And they recommend that you go live for at least 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Which my first thought was, oh my God, I can't justify 2 hours on TikTok.
What do I say for 2 hours?
Well, that's right. And then I thought, actually, Tobes, you run a shop. If you were working in a brick and mortar shop, you'd be demoing your products for 8 hours a day. Of course you can go on TikTok for 2 hours. So I started doing it.
No.
Yeah, I only started 2 days ago. But I started doing it, and it was people logged on and they said they liked it, and I got hundreds of, and people say, oh, can you write this and can you draw this and I wasn't really expecting that, so my shop wasn't quite set up, which it will be for tomorrow's live. But it was really good. It was really good fun. I really enjoyed it, and it just sort of brought all of that magic back to social media that I think we all felt in the initial stages. And I suddenly remembered why I'm on these platforms, because I got to talk to people directly.
Yes,
which I couldn't do in Instagram. It was, the 80% of people ignoring my messages. They're not my customers. If they're going to ignore it, I'm not going to sell to them. But the people who logged onto my live feed on TikTok could very well buy a hoodie, a t-shirt, a sticker, whatever. So that's the progress. So rather than, sulking and licking my wounds about Instagram, actually we've sort of moved laterally and joined the kids over on the TikTokies.
It's really interesting, really interesting. It sounds like you've been on a complete roller coaster of being on a high in energy, messaging everyone, crashing down, being banned, coming back up, finding energy again, crashing down, getting results, and then finding your way onto a different platform. Seems like it's been an absolute roller coaster. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. To be honest, yes, I am all right. The Instagram thing annoyed the beans out of me, and I've sort of jumped ship from Instagram. I can't keep. I had this conversation with Laura Poole, who got quite cross with me. I just can't keep up with the algorithm, and I can't keep up with all the change. They keep moving the goalposts on Instagram, and Laura said, "Oh, well, I really enjoy that part of it." Which is just how her brain works, and I don't work like that. I wanted gratification, and I found it on TikTok, which is great. The other thing that I realized, and TikTok doesn't quite fulfill this, but people on Instagram aren't necessarily ready to buy. They're certainly not ready to leave the platform to go find a link, find the product, pay the money, come back to the platform. They're not ready for that. Whereas, you don't go to Amazon to window shop, do you? You go to Amazon because you're ready to buy. Or Etsy.
Yeah.
Etsy rather than my own website. So I've restarted our Etsy page because directing people to your website is fine, but they just want to look around. Whereas if they're on Etsy looking for something, they're probably going to buy it. And if I can be in front of those people who are looking to buy a hoodie, a graffiti piece, then they'll buy it there and then. And I think, TikTok, if you don't have to leave the platform, it's going to fulfill that need because they can stay within the app.
Interesting. So definitely when I got your message about what was going on, my head went, okay, like we've got our result.
Yeah.
Like it's not working. It's time to move on. and you've moved on platforms, you've moved on marketing methods, and we've got some life. So now I guess we're back into a sort of a second mini experiment phase where we're going, okay, let's test TikTok as a way of marketing for the next
Yeah,
few days. We'll do the live streams, we'll put it out there, we'll get it to as many people as possible, and then we'll have a new answer as
yeah.
to whether it sells on TikTok or not.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, I felt the same way when the results came back from Instagram was just, well, no one's buying it. It's not, like you say, it's not working. Just ditch it, move on. But my problem is that the feedback from Instagram was, we've got no money. If I just come up with a new product, the same is going to be true.
Yeah, and that's a
Unless it's,
lie.
well,
let's
yeah,
let's just clear that up. I've got no money.
yeah,
Everyone has money. They're choosing to spend it on other stuff. So
food
that
and
is
heat.
food, heating.
Yeah,
Like they are spending it on something. They do have money, but they're choosing where to put it. And I always have this thing like, if someone really wants it, they will find the money. Like if
yeah,
it was the right product for Father's Day, and it was for their father, they would find the £40, they would find the whatever it is
yeah,
to buy it. So I hate that answer, and I don't believe it. It's just not true.
yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't give me anything to work off of
Nothing.
other than just, shaving pounds, pence off my profit margins.
Yeah, which it's they're not rejecting you for that reason. And
No,
when you
that's
go back
right.
and say, "What if you have 20% off?" It's like that was not the reason. The money's the excuse I gave you to protect your feelings.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not nice, but they're trying to be nice, but it actually doesn't help entrepreneurs.
No. Yeah, that's right. And I think I'd already a couple of days after that, we were reading the episode, the chapter in the Ultimate Sales Machine on selling, which was, oh, if they come back with the excuse that they've got no money, just give them a discount and make it work. I've to paraphrase, and I was like, well, I already did that, and it didn't.
It
work
didn't
at all.
work. It doesn't work.
It
No.
doesn't work.
And generally, I've got no money is an excuse. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're out there selling and people are saying we don't have the money, that's never the real reason. There is a reason behind it, which we can either press in to try and find, and you might flush out that reason by going, so what if it was X price? Or what price would it have to be for you to purchase? Sometimes flushes out what the real reason is, because then the price, you basically take price away and go, well, let's imagine you could afford it.
Yeah.
How much does it have to be? And then you can kind of get behind price to what the real reason is. But there is always something behind it. It's never the true reason.
Yeah. Yeah. It's as you say. I think people are nice, aren't they? I think the majority of people try to be nice.
They are. They're lovely, and I hate it. Stop being
Yeah.
nice and tell me what's actually going on.
That's right. Again, in that book that I mentioned before we started recording, which I won't say on air because it's got a bad word in it, but he talks about, the worst thing you can do is be nice, because actually you want the truth, which will form a much better understanding of what's going on, or more respect. Like if you say no, if someone asks you to do something at work and you say no, they will respect you more for having boundaries, rather than just saying yes and then delivering a naff piece of work.
Yeah, or saying yes and then not actually doing it, or saying I'll try. That's the
Yeah.
worst one.
Oh,
I
don't
hate
say
that.
that.
I'll try means I'm not actually going to do it. I'm just breaking it to you softly.
Yeah.
And just for everyone listening, Laura Paul is the fabulous lady that runs the Rebel Book Club. So part of the Rebel Business School, they read a book each, however long. The one that they've been doing recently is The Ultimate Sales Machine, which is a fascinating book about sales with some different opinions, which I know has been challenging everyone, which is why we're here. But learning these things, working on a book, working through it can help you to think about your business. And even if the book doesn't directly apply to your business, it'll inspire you to do something else. And I think what we've done here is you've put message energy out there. And that has then made you go, this is not working, quicker than what was happening before, and
Yes.
change direction. And I think my personal opinion is none of us entrepreneurs iterate quick enough. And what I mean by that is we try and sell slowly over a period of months rather than going full out. And you went full out, which I want to honor you for that, because you went full out. I love that you got banned from Instagram. That just makes me
Twice.
happy.
2 times.
Twice. Maybe we
Yeah.
should have learned from the first one, but let's not go there. I
Yeah.
just love that you put yourself out there and you asked and you messaged and you did it,
Yeah.
because we needed to iterate quicker, and you were stuck in purgatory of not knowing whether this was going to work or not. And
Yeah.
at least we've got an answer in that direction and we've moved on. And I think everyone listening to this, get your answers quicker by pushing a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you saying, have you asked them? I think Instagram, well, any social media is very easy to hide behind, isn't it? And actually DMing, just direct messaging 50, 100, 500 people and saying, buy this thing. You can do it. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about that, just DMing people for 15 hours a day. And it wasn't something that I considered, because I was like, well, no, if they want to buy it, they'll see it on my web. No, they won't. No, go and ask them to buy it. You buy this thing now.
There is the connection bit, which you'd been doing, which is why I jumped to the buy bit, because the one thing for everyone listening to this I do want to be clear about is you don't just go in someone's face and say, buy now. Toby had been connecting, he'd been talking, they were followers, they'd seen his stuff, they connected. So it was time to ask, like, please buy or whatever the word is, but it's time to buy now or not. And we needed that answer. And that's why we had to do it. So I just want to be careful, because I know some people will then just go straight out after the podcast, go screaming around the place going, buy now.
Yeah. The last thing
and that's not necessarily going to like endear people to you. We've got to connect and ask for the sale. So just clear for everyone out there.
Yeah. Don't bulldoze people.
So where are you now? And what are your plans and your feelings? You're on TikTok. You've had your first couple of goes. You're going to set up the store.
Yeah. So I've been putting some time into listing the products on there through their seller site. I'm going to give the TikTok thing a go. The sort of epiphany that actually, yes, you can be live. And what's quite nice about my product now, because I think you're right, I've transitioned to a new platform, but I've sort of transitioned into a new product, in that I'm doing these kind of bespoke graffiti pieces, which are garnering the interest from people who want to be able to do graffiti, but also people who just think it's cool. So what's nice is I can sit, as I discovered yesterday, for 2-3 hours just doing people's names. They request them in the chat. I do it live there and then. They can see how it's constructed. I can talk to them about how it's constructed. And then at the end, I can say, look, and if you want this on a t-shirt, here's the link. It's in TikTok. Go and buy it. And as I say, no one's done that yet, but in amongst that process, maybe there's different price points, but I can do it as a sticker. I could do it as a transfer that they can put on a t-shirt. You can buy a t-shirt, you can buy a hoodie.
Digital download,
Digital download, whatever. So there's all these different, boop, 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 boop. I've got all these different price points that I can suddenly open up to. I've got no money. You've not got 50p for a digital download. Oh, okay, right. Or, I've got a bit more than that. You've got £2.50 for a sticker. Okay, fine. The other interesting thing about the TikTok marketplace merchant sales, whatever it's called, is that you can not only be an affiliate seller, so I can sell other people's products that are related to my products through my store for a cut, but they can sell my products, which is a really interesting way of doing business, and not one that I had considered. But again, if it were a brick and mortar store, of course you would have other people's, t-shirts to go with or trainers to go with your hoodies, or, it makes complete sense. But in the virtual world, I've somehow kind of ruled all of that out as being ridiculous. And it's not ridiculous. So I'm sort of in the process of contacting like-minded people who might already have my audience, and saying, look, I'll punt your products for 15%, you punt mine for 15%, and we'll see what happens. They've already, there's a couple, I already got sent 24 free paint pens to try out, because I'm going, because of that 55,000 view thing. And he was like, whoa, you can try these, which is
I
great.
love
That's
it.
a
Yeah.
nice little in. So that's where I'm at. So that's the new experiment is TikToking myself into a coma.
I love it. So I'm going to ask you to define the experiment now. How long are you going to experiment for? What are the metrics to know whether it's success or not? Because I think otherwise we're going to end into another phase of continuous without having an idea of like
Yeah,
what is success, what is not, and how long
absolutely.
are we going to give it a chance?
Well, I'm gonna go hard or go home, as they say, and I'm going to aim to do the next 2 weeks, just
Okay,
full
cool.
on online live selling, because I'm sort of, when I gave up work when my son was born prematurely, 6 weeks, and needed quite a lot of assistance. I gave up work to come home and help, and because I was working away, and I gave myself 6 months to kind of make this happen, and I'm close to the end of it, so I have to go hard, all in. So live for the next 2 weeks, pretty much every day. Um, and then I mean, it hinges on sales, doesn't it? If you haven't sold
Hmm.
anything, you don't have a business. So the metrics will be: is this um, not scalable is the wrong word, but is it making money, and can I therefore push it further if I were to do 8 hours live a day or offer new products, or is there a are things selling? Therefore, is there a future?
So, how much profit do you have to make for you to feel like there's a future in this? Like, what would the amount you would need to get out of this? Like, what would you hold in your hands and go, wow, I made that? There's a chance this could go somewhere.
I think, well, in the next 2 weeks, I'd like to have arrived at a figure of somewhere around £500.
Cool.
I don't think it's unreasonable, considering the various price points. I mean, if I only sold, that's a lot of stickers. but
It's possible.
it is
It's
possible.
possible.
That is 10,000 stickers or something. um, yeah, but I think there's enough meat in my store that yeah, I think £500 is reasonable, and that would show me that if I could pull in £1,000 a month from this business in 6 months' time, that's not a full-time income, but that would show me that actually this is
There's something here.
there's something
That's
here.
the whole thing is like,
People
do
want
we
it.
have enough proof to know that we can go further?
Yeah,
And I love that. And I just want to say to everyone listening to this, Toby has just done is define the parameters of the mini experiment to know, like, if I make £500, I'm in.
yeah.
If I make £300, I'm going to be going, I put a lot of work in for that and it hasn't happened. And that's okay. I'm going to let go at this point. You might get to it and you go 450 and you go, that's enough. I really want it to work. But like, it doesn't have to be completely binary, but you've defined it and you've got yourself 2 weeks. Um, and then this part isn't for you, Toby. It's for everyone listening. But I think you'll find it interesting. Every time someone gives themselves, I've got a year to build my business, or I've got 6 months to build my business, or I've got 2 years to build my business, it always comes down to the wire. Why is that? It's because we tend to take it easy at the start. And that's not to say we're not working, but we're not actually doing the things that will shift the needle. And I remember meeting this fabulous guy at the pop up business school. It was Rebel Business School. Brand Police would be upset, but it was at that time the Rebel Business School in Charleston. And he was creating a piece of software and he'd given himself 2 years to build it. And he'd spent the first 18 months writing the software. And he's like, I just need to create a little bit more to get it ready for the customer. And I'm just going, you need to sell. Like, you need to just sell. You need to be out there because it'll, like, sales cycles of big software products can take 6 months. And if you're leaving it that late, like, you just need to sell. But I couldn't get him to do it. Then it comes down to the last 2 months and he's like, holy moly. And then he full on at it. And it always comes down to the end. So if you're listening to this, we've spoken a lot about going big going out there and doing it. And I think the best thing, anyone listening to do this, is to go big at the start. And this is the mistake I made. We all do. I did it. I was like, okay, I've got a product. I think it'll sell to housing associations. Let me speak to 5 and test the water. Like, that's what everyone does, is like, let me do a mini experiment. The mini is like the time frame, not the size of your action and the sales work. And we all do it. And I want to scream at younger Alan, like, just contact every housing association and go big, make it happen. And I think everyone listening to this, the size of your action, go big as early as possible. Why wait? We just need to give it a go. And yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add from your experience of the 4 or 5 months you've spent so far, but that's my feeling.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that there's an awful lot of not disinformation, but perhaps misinformation within the small business community, which is, oh, these things take time. Just keep chipping away. These things, keep at it. No, don't. What doesn't take time? It takes inertia. You need to go heave ho at the beginning, and as you say, the size of your action, just go big. If you've got too much work, oh my god, that's a luxury. To sell too much.
People are genuinely scared at this.
I know. Figure out how to. If I got an order for 500 hoodies tomorrow, I can't do that. I'd figure it out the next day, though. You can't say no at the moment. So yeah, no, absolutely, it doesn't take time. And actually, do feel free to edit this out. But if I can plug the next book, we've just finished the Ultimate Sales Machine. The next one is the 12-Week Year, which by Brian P. Moran, which I've actually already finished, and is a brilliant book in terms of planning and in terms of shrinking that time frame of a year, 3 years, down to 3 months of just intensive. Every day is a week. Every single day is a week. No, sorry. Every single week is a month. I beg your pardon. Every single week is a month. But the idea that you've pared it right down to just what do we have to do to make this work in 3 months is, if I'd known that sooner, then things would probably be the same. But
Well, I think it's the expression that I repeat to myself is work expands to fill the time allowed. So if you give yourself a year, it'll take a year. If you give yourself 6 months, it'll take 6 months. And that always happens to me. So now I don't actually like particularly giving myself time frames. I just go, it's going to happen now, and I'm going to do it as quickly as possible. I don't even have a target necessarily. It's like, I am going to keep going until this thing is done, and it's going to be done, and I'm going to give it all my energy, because work expands to fill the time allowed.
And done is better than perfect.
Oh, I feel like we're hitting all of my favorite points. Can you repeat that to my business partner Simon regularly for me? Done is better than perfect.
Simon taught me it. Goodness sake, hypocrite.
He needs it the most. I love him. So you actually have a plan. You have a mini experiment. You have a defined goal. You have everything you need. Is there anything else you need from us, the Rebel Entrepreneur people? Is there anything else you need?
I mean, I imagine as soon as I hang up, there will be. But no, like you say, we've transitioned to a new platform. We've got a slightly different product. We're thinking about different price points. I've given myself the 2 weeks. I've got the goal in mind. I need to go so I can get back on TikTok.
So how can people find you on TikTok if the listeners have been inspired to look you up and see you graffiti live?
Yeah, to find us on the TikTokies, we're at Anya and Daddy. Anya and Daddy, all lowercase, all one word. At Anya, I love and it. Daddy.
Thank you for coming back on the show. Thank you for telling us how it went and the roller coaster and the experience. I think it's so valuable for everyone listening to experience things with you. I really appreciate it. And please let me know how it goes, Toby. I want to know how it goes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Excellent. Good luck. Go back on the TikTok. Well, that was a fascinating and fast episode with Toby. He's off to run a mini experiment, and I thought I'd just do a quick ending to the episode to make sure I give you the key messages that I want you to take from this. Number one is get out of purgatory. If you have a business that's limping along and not doing what you want it to, if you have a side hustle, if you have an idea that you've put out there, but it's not really performing, it's not really doing it, and you feel kind of tied to it and you're stuck and it's not going well, you need to get out of purgatory and move on. If you don't like where you live, move somewhere else. If the business isn't working, change. If you don't like your job, find one that works for you. We need to end this stuff quicker. The way to do that is my second point. Go full in earlier. And I don't mean with your cash, I mean with your energy and your action. How do you know if your business idea is going to be successful? You try and sell it. You sell it to everyone you can find that you think will be the right customer. You go and approach them, you make friends, you connect, and you sell, sell, sell. That's going full in. None of this stuff like I did, where I fannied about and like, oh, I'll just approach 5 customers and see if it works. You're never going to get your answer, and you're going to be stuck in purgatory of not knowing whether it actually works or not. So please go harder, go fuller, go straight in, make the sales calls and make it happen as early as possible. The third point is work expands to fill time allowed. So if you give yourself 6 months to do something, it'll take 6 months. If you give yourself a year, it will take a year. So run your mini experiments quicker. Give yourself a week, give yourself 2 weeks, give it a test, put it out there, see what happens. Work expands to fill the time allowed. So allow less time and do more in a shorter period. You'll get to your answer quickly, which is number 4. Get to a result, get to the answer. We just need to know whether this business will work at this moment or not, with this audience or not, with this target market or not, and then we can move on to the next one. If you're testing a target market, go full out, talk to all the target market and know whether that's the market or not. If it's not, you can move on to the next one. If you've tested the business idea and you've tested 5 markets and 3 price points, you've got to a result, the business is not working, you have permission to change. Get to the result and change. So my rallying cry to anyone listening to this is mini experiment faster. Let's go harder and faster to find out whether our ideas actually work, because the first idea you have probably won't be the best one, and that's okay. We just need to get to an answer of whether it works or not so that we can move on to the next one as quickly as possible. And if we do that, maybe the 3rd business experiment, maybe the 4th, maybe the 5th will be the one that finds where we need to go. And the learning from the first 5 will be what we needed to make the 6th one work. And if you do that, if you get out there, you make it happen, you get to that result quicker, that is where the extraordinary lies. So please, take my energy. Go out, get out of purgatory, go full in earlier, set shorter time frames, easy for me to say, and get to a result. Be a rebel, have some fun, make some money. Thank you for listening to the show. You can have any life you want to. Choose to build something cool. Choose to take action. Choose to work to make your dreams become reality. Stand out. Be different. Be yourself. Be a rebel entrepreneur.